We all know Hela as the terrifying goddess of death that shattered Thor's hammer.
Darling, you have no idea what's possible.
Killed the strongest army of Asgard, and made them kneel to her. As a regular person, we see Hela as a villain with no mercy. But what if we tried to shift the perspective a little bit and step into the shoes of Hela? Maybe we would know why her return was so devastating. Was all of this for a bigger reason? Hela's character might not be as simple as we think. To understand her rage, ambition, and motives, let me put you in her shoes. Imagine being the firstborn of Odin, his general, his right-hand man in his bloody campaign to expand Asgard's domination. Together, you waged wars, crushed kingdoms, and built the 9 realms into a glorious empire. Your father even called you the goddess of death, not in disdain, but as a tribute to your unmatched power,
It's about drive, it's about power.
your ferocity, and your unyielding loyalty. You wielded Mjolnir before anyone even whispered your brother Thor's name. The golden halls of Asgard shone with treasures from the worlds you subdued. You and your father were unstoppable.
We were unstoppable. I was his weapon in the conquest that built Asgard's empire.
But power has a way of shifting allegiances. The once unstoppable force that had built this kingdom, that laid waste to your enemies, was suddenly tired, soft, weak. Odin, the great warlord, grew weary of the bloodshed, the dominance, and the fear. He wanted peace. Peace. Can you imagine? Peace in a world that only understands power? Peace in a kingdom built on conquest. He betrayed you, betrayed the very essence of what made Asgard great. He had abandoned the fight that you had waged together, and he chose the soft path. He chose mercy over power.
Our supremacy was unchallenged, yet Odin stopped at 9 realms.
And for that betrayal, you stood against him. He had raised you to be a conqueror, to claim what was yours by right. And now, he expected you to just let it all go? No, you stood against him. You demanded Asgard remain true to its purpose.
Our destiny is to rule over all others.
And for that, he betrayed you even more. He locked you away, imprisoned his own daughter, his fiercest warrior, in hell. Not because he was stronger than you, but because he was too weak to face you. He couldn't destroy you, so he imprisoned you.
With all that I accomplished in your name,
Banished you, stuck you in the depths of hell, chaining you to his very life force. But you didn't go quietly. No, you fought him. You stormed the palace with Asgardian blood on your hands, determined to claim the throne that was rightfully yours. He sent his armies against you, but they were no match. Even the Valkyries, his most elite warriors, fell before you like dry leaves in the wind. Only one survived to tell the tale of your wrath. But Odin, ever the coward, sent you back to your prison. He erased your name from history, sealed your memory away like you were nothing. And for eons, you waited. You watched as he reshaped Asgard into the golden illusion it had become. He used your legacy, your strength, to build a kingdom based on lies and weakness. He thought he could erase you, but he couldn't. Nothing lasts forever. When your father died, when Loki, your little trickster brother, cast him out and left him to rot on Earth, you felt the chains of your prison weaken. It was almost laughable, really, how Loki, so foolish and unaware, had unknowingly helped you break free. When your father perished, so did the prison that bound you. You would have liked to see his death.
It's a shame. I would have liked to have seen that.
But fate, as always, denied you that satisfaction. Finally, you were free. The rush of power surged through you, filling the hollow, empty space that had been your existence for millennia. You were alive. Your first thought was of Asgard, your birthright. It had been denied to you for far too long. The golden spires, the gilded halls, the throne that was rightfully yours. They would all kneel to their true queen. But before you could claim it, there were obstacles. Loki, Thor. Those two whelps dared to stand where you were meant to rule. When you appeared before them, their shock was almost amusing. Loki, ever the schemer, tried to offer a truce.
Perhaps we can come to an arrangement.
You sound like him.
A truce. You had no interest in negotiating with traitors, no interest in bowing to anyone, not even blood. They would kneel before you or be crushed beneath your heel. Now, Thor, of course, was predictable. Ever the proud and reckless warrior, he refused to bend.
Kneel before your queen.
I don't think so.
You saw the defiance in his eyes as he stepped forward, clutching that hammer of his as if it were his salvation. He hurled the hammer at you with all the fury he could muster, but he underestimated you. Really, they both did. With ease, you caught the hammer in midair, its weight familiar in your hand. For a moment, you relished the shock on Thor's face, the disbelief, the panic, and then, with a surge of your strength, you shattered it. The mighty hammer, the so-called symbol of Thor's worthiness, crumbled into dust in your hand. Then they fled, cowards, as you expected, thinking that they could escape, thinking Asgard would protect them. Well, they were wrong. You leaped into the torrent of energy, the force of it exhilarating rather than overwhelming. This was your domain as much as no, it was more yours than theirs. They have been living their pampered lives, basking in Odin's favor, while you've been cast into the shadows. Now, you would show them the price of their father's deceits. Loki tried to fight you, of course. He threw a dagger, but you sent it back with the force of a god and knocked him into the swirling void. Thor too was cast into the void, just as you had promised. Without Thor and Loki, no one could challenge you. The sentries stationed at the gate dared to oppose you, their loyalty to Odin binding them to the inevitable. You cut them down without hesitation. And then there was Scourge. Sure, he was there, watching. His fear was evident, but there was something else, something even more pathetic. He would kneel before you. He would serve you, because really that was the only way to survive.
You look like a smart boy with good survival instincts. How would you like a job?
As you reached Asgard's gates, the soldiers of Odin stood against you, a pitiful attempt to protect their dead king. Hogun, loyal to a dead king, led the charge. Of course you slaughtered them all, one by one. It was a cleansing. Inside the palace grand hall, the mural on the ceiling caught your eye. It depicted Odin in all of his false glory, sitting proudly above the 9 realms, a ruler who traded violence for peace. Your stomach churned at the sight. Your father's lie. You couldn't let that stand. With a wave of your hand, the mural was torn from the ceiling, crumbling into dust. Beneath it lay the true history, your history. The mural that showed you and Odin side by side, conquering the realms with strength, fire, and brutality. The truth of Asgard's rise. Now, as the throne was within your grasp, there was only one thing left to do. Rule. And for that, you resurrected your army, including your loved companion and closest ally, Fenris, the Great Wolf. But in a twist of the event, the Asgardians, your people, started a revolution. They were trying to tear down the very walls of their own kingdom, fighting to dethrone you, to erase everything you had built. You appointed Scourge as the executioner of the rebels, giving him a weapon you forged with your own hands. But despite every victory, there was one thing standing in your way of achieving your ultimate goal of ruling the 9 realms, a powerful sword called Hofund. Without it, your rule would be incomplete, and someone even had the audacity to steal it. They thought that they could just go on and take what's yours, but you would reclaim it. In an attempt to reclaim it, you faced your brothers in a tough battle. Sure, resilient, you'll give them that, but their return wasn't a surprise. No, it was inevitable. An act of defiance that only added to the game that you were playing. Thor, Loki, and their ragtag band of rebels believed they could take back what they never truly understood. They thought that they could stop you, the true heir to the throne, the one that had once ruled over the 9 realms with an iron fist. How utterly charming. Valkyrie, that broken Asgardian warrior, led the charge, attacking your forces with that desperate, misguided energy. And Hulk, Hulk foolishly thought he could defeat Fenris. It was laughable, really. These were the same pathetic soldiers who had once bowed to Odin, but now they were willing to die for a cause that they didn't even comprehend. They were way out of their depth. You weren't here for a fight. You were here for Asgard's rebirth, and they were mere ants in your way. But then, eventually, there was Thor standing before you, his hammer raised. You could feel the pride radiating from him. He thought that by unleashing his power, he could stop you. So let him try, you thought. You smiled as the thunder crackled around him, the god of thunder thinking his might would be enough. But what he didn't realize, what he never truly understood, was that Asgard was never about strength. It was about control, about dominance, about you. You had been the power behind Odin's throne, the one who had secured his empire. And then suddenly, something happened. Thor, clutching the remnants of his broken pride, ordered Loki to retrieve Surtur's crown and place it in the eternal flame. He had realized the truth. He must burn the kingdom to defeat you.
You can't defeat me.
No, I know. But he can.
How deliciously fitting. The very flame that had once consumed your power was now going to summon the force that would tear this kingdom apart. And Surtur came, reborn in fire, the fire of the past and the destruction of the future. The flames rose, and with them so did your death. You watched as the world you had fought so hard to reclaim crumbled, the Asgardian palace reduced to rubble, and all you could do was smile. You were the flame, and now you were consumed by it. How ironic. In those final moments, you realized something that Odin had never told you. It wasn't just about ruling. It wasn't even about control. It was about legacy. And yours would burn away with Asgard, leaving nothing but dust. As you fell to the ground, consumed by the very fire that you had hoped would cleanse you, you felt your power slip away. At last, you were not the one who would reshape Asgard's future, because it would be Thor, with his misguided belief in the people, and Loki, who would always chase after what he could never truly grasp. In the end, Hela's story is one of power, vengeance, and unyielding ambition. She sought to reclaim her rightful place and to restore Asgard to its former glory. But her obsession with conquest and domination ultimately led to her demise. But how do you see Hela? Was she a rightful heir, misunderstood and wronged? Or was she simply a villain driven by her lust for power? Let us know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us next time as we dive into the alternate perspectives of your favorite movies.